you a songwriter? Are you looking to turn your songwriting passion into a full-time gig? Whether you are just at the start of your songwriting journey or a seasoned industry professional, this show is made for you. Welcome to The Songwriter Show, bringing together songwriting news, interviews, and community. Now, welcome your host, Sarantos.
Thank you so much for tuning in and welcome back to The Songwriter Show, right here on Reality Radio 101. I'm your humble host, Sarantos. I'm a solo music artist who's been writing lyrics for as long as I can remember. Words just mean everything to me, and that's why I love hosting this show for you every single Tuesday evening. I believe in my heart that every song is a story. Tonight, I'm so excited to have on the show Landis Maitland-Whitelaw. He started his musical search at the age of 13. He wrote his first composition, Sunshine, at the age of 16. He's a multi-instrumentalist, playing the guitar, the clarinet, sax, and is currently learning the piano. He has released a new album, The Fourth, Orchestral Works, and it can be found on all the usual streaming services.
And now, welcome this week's special guest.
Welcome to the show, Landis. How are you?
I'm very well, Sarantos. And yourself?
I'm doing well. I know we talked a little bit ago, a few years ago, but for the fans tonight that have no idea who you are, tell us a little bit about how you got started making instrumentals and playing every instrument known to man.
Well, that's not quite true. Only a few, just a handful. I noticed them out there. Yeah. Well, probably why I became an instrumentalist because I am a lousy singer. I mean, that's the truth of it and stuff. So I started playing guitar when I was 13. Took 3 years of lessons on the guitar and then just progressed myself. When I was 21, I went back and took 1 year of classical guitar and predominantly on the guitar. I play a lot of classical guitar and write for classical guitar too. But over the years, I have been writing orchestral works. This new album out, the orchestral works, are all of my works for the complete full orchestra that I've done over the years. And that makes 9 tracks and just under an hour of music.
And tell the fans a little bit about where you're based.
Well, I'm based in Vancouver now. That's in Canada, Vancouver, not to be confused with the one in Washington. Retired down here a number of years ago, over 10 years ago, because we came from Saskatchewan, so it's kind of tired about shoveling the snow. So you don't have to shovel rain in Vancouver. So this is awesome.
Yeah. Well, rain has its own other set of problems, right? But anyway.
It does, but it's a little warmer and it's easier to get through, I think. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, since we last chatted, there's been a lot of water under the bridge for me. I released a single called Choosing the Easy Life, and you'll like this one because it actually has lyrics in it and I sing on it. It's a country tune, and that's pretty much the only vocal one that I've got out so far. I have written some other songs, but they haven't met to publication yet. Then I did Walking Through the Heather, which is a piece that I wrote for the bagpipe. And it's kind of an EP where it features the bagpipe, pipe and drums, and the chanter. And I did Musing on COVID, which was put on during the COVID period, and it's an instrumental electric guitar and stuff. So it gives me an opportunity to shred. And then on the last one that I did too was called And Tales, which was the finishing off of my trilogy, Top Hat, Black Tie, and Tails. So that's what I've been up to for the last year plus and whatnot. So now, I mean, just going back and doing the orchestral stuff, I mean, it's amazing. I just really, really enjoyed this project a lot because when you go back and touch stuff, you change things, you tweak things and whatnot. And each one of these songs has a special little story in them and whatnot. The one that I sent you is Wind in the Field. And that one was inspired by a road trip down to Fort Qu'Appelle in Saskatchewan, Canada, and I saw a field of flax just blowing in the wind. I thought it was a lake, you know, it's
Yeah.
just because of the way it looked and stuff. So that's what inspired that song. And I made another song called North Country, which is inspired by Saskatchewan North, and then one called Fort Qu'Appelle, and put those all together as a set, and they're called the Saskatchewan Suite. And yeah, very nice, easy listening music.
So you said something about bagpipes. I would love to play the bagpipes. Do you play them?
No.
Oh, that just sounds like a cool, badass instrument, man. I got to figure out who could teach me the bagpipes.
Yeah. Well, there's lots of bagpipe people around and whatnot, and bands and stuff. Every parade you go to has bagpipes in them, you know, at least they do up here in Canada. So, yeah, no, so it's cool. Though when I wrote that song, I actually wrote it on guitar, and I thought, you know, this just calls out to be played on the bagpipes. You know, it's walking through the heather. Yeah, yeah, it's really cool.
Remind the fans a little bit about your influences. Who inspired you?
Well, it depends on which way you go. As you said before, I'm a multi-instrumentalist, yeah, and I'm also right in way lots of different genres and whatnot. And the people that I listen to for classical guitar, Julian Bream was one of my, Yip Hayes was another one, Lagoya, he was just my awe guy. I actually got to meet him before he passed away and whatnot. So, and of course, Leona Boyd, our own Canadian up here and whatnot. So that's the guitar of it. The orchestral works of it. It was interesting because years ago when I put out my Black Tie album, it was actually the second album I put out, but it was with a full band, and I was at my baseball game for my daughter, and I sat beside this guy, and we got talking about music, and I said, yeah, I just put out this album and stuff. So I gave him lent him a copy of it, and he listened to it and stuff. And he ended up being a composer teacher at the University of Saskatchewan, and he invited me to join a group called the Composers Performance Society.
That sounds kind of cool.
And that's kicked off when I started writing orchestral music, and it just lit a fire under me. You got to meet all of the instruments in the orchestra, and each one has a different color and timbre and stuff, and you can just mold those together in such great creative ways. So awe-inspiring. So his name was Monty Keane Pishney Floyd, and he's the one that actually steered me. Well, actually, not steered me, kind of put me into another layer. Yeah, actually, because I was doing classical guitar work at the time. I had my rock band at the time that we had, which made the Black Tie album, and then the orchestral works and stuff. So it just kind of layered on top of it all. It was really quite amazing. So.
Is there a musical instrument or piece of equipment that changed how you make music?
Yeah, the computer. Definitely. I remember when I started my whole process of recording my music. I recorded an album, and it's called Top Hat, and it's classical guitar solo album. And I have 3 of my compositions on that. And that was done on a little Tascam recorder, you know, like a little four-track recorder, and a lot of us cut our teeth on that sort of a thing. And then along came the computer, and bango, and then the software that goes with the computer, and the DAWs that you work in. That's digital audio workstations for those that don't know, and putting stuff together, it just it makes it so much easier and whatnot. And when you're writing music, I used to be one of these pencil and paper guys. You know, here's the music, I'm gonna write it out and then play it and stuff. Now you can do that on the computer, and then it generates a MIDI file for you that you can assign instruments.
How great is that, right? You can
It's
really take a
amazing.
MIDI and then be like, hey, I don't know how to play that instrument, but let me see what this sounds like, if it's a cello or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the whole thing. What's this going to sound like? You know, so
It's crazy.
it's one of those things, and that's how you create is what would happen if I did this?
Yeah.
You know, and it takes you down a little bit of a path to explore, right?
And then that's where the magic happens.
That's where the magic happens. Absolutely, it's awesome.
Yeah. So Landis, tell us about the song we're going to hear.
Oh, Wind in the Field. I wrote that in 1996. It first reared its head on my Black Tie album. It was played with my musician friends and stuff that I had at the time and whatnot. And then once I started getting into orchestral stuff and whatnot, I redid it for the orchestra. And since then, too, I've arranged it for the piano. Yeah.
Okay.
So, like I said, it's the one that was inspired in me when I was driving down through Saskatchewan and saw the flax field waving in the wind, and I thought it was a lake. That's Wind in the Field. Yeah.
Awesome. All right. Let's take a listen, everybody, and then we'll come back and talk some more. Okay, Landis?
You betcha.
All right, everybody, check this out.
Enjoy.
I think it's safe to assume, listening to that you guys up in Canada know how to make a little music, right?
Well, yeah, we do everything from foot stomping music to orchestral works.
Yeah, all right.
Absolutely. Country to highbrow. That's what we do up here. Yeah.
Yeah. So, is there any career advice you've received that is the best you've ever gotten that you want to share with us tonight?
Well, the only thing I think The biggest one was my parents saying, music is a lovely thing and you should always have it in your life, but don't try to make a living out of it. How many of us have been told that, So I
Oh my
didn't. I
Lord.
had I
Yeah.
had another career and stuff like this, and now that I'm retired and have the chance and stuff, and when COVID came about, it gave me the opportunity to build a website to start doing all of this stuff. I'm not getting any younger, Sarantos, and so what I want to do is to compile and publish all of the works that I've done since I was 16 all the way up to when I pass away, sort of a thing, to make sure that it's there available to people because it's interesting, it's unique stuff, and I think personally it's quite listenable. So, I think it will resonate with a wide audience, and what that's my hope anyway. So.
Tell us a little bit about how your songwriting has changed over time and maybe what influenced those changes.
Well, I think circumstances always influence changes, because when I started out writing, it was for the classical guitar because that's what I was playing at the time, right? And when you're doing that and you write for the classical guitar, the nice thing about that guitar is that it is polyphonic, right? Yeah, it has many different layers and stuff and things going on and whatnot. So it's challenging and it's interesting and it sparks your mind to say, you know, how would this sound like in a small group, a chamber group? And then once you do my composer friend of mine said, like most composers, when they write a piece of music, they'll do it for a quartet, because it has the basics of all of the large orchestra right there, but in just a few instruments, right? 4 or 5 instruments, and that's it. So then once you've done that, then you start thinking, oh yeah, this is cool. This is cool. And then I got this software from Spitfire's BBC orchestra. I got that in to up my game a little bit, a sonic game. And when I did that, I sat down and I thought, I'm going to write a piece of music that uses most or a lot of this orchestral library so that I get a feeling of what it's like, like how much can you do with this thing and stuff. So I wrote a piece of music and it was really cool. It was called Urban Sprawl. And I have start out with some percussion, and then you have the strings and the brass and the tune percussions going on, and trading themes and things back and forth and stuff. And that kind of inspired me and fired me up to get my other orchestral works done with the same software, and I'm glad I did because I thought it turned out very well.
Tell us about the most unique instrument you've used in one of your orchestrations.
Yeah, and it depends, I guess, on your definition of unique. Of that one that I just talked about uses a harp in a place of it. I've never really gotten much into world instruments and stuff, except for the bagpipes, and I would consider that a world instrument
Yeah.
and whatnot. But most of the stuff that I deal with is, for me anyway, I think it's pretty standard stuff. The violins, the cellos, the basses. One of the challenging things to write for when I wrote the Urban Sprawl was the marimbas and the vibraphones and things like that. Cool sounds. But man, you really have to watch your technique on those things.
Yeah,
You
for
have to
sure.
you have to sit down and imagine that I am the player and this is in front of me and I'm playing this thing. So how is it going to lay out? How's it going to play? Because eventually you want somebody to play this, right?
Yeah. Tell us a little bit about your socials, your website. Where can people buy your stuff, stream it?
Yeah, I've distributed all of my stuff through DistroKid, and they put it up on basically all of the platforms, yeah, even on YouTube. There's a YouTube channel there for me. I have my own private YouTube channel also that I'm a photographer, so I've done a bunch of travels and stuff. I've put that on it and used my own music for soundtracks on that. So, and then, like Apple Music and Spotify and Amazon Music to Geezer, there is a long list of
Yeah.
things that they put these things out to. Yeah. And I'm on Facebook, of course, and Instagram and LinkedIn too, if anyone's
Okay.
in the LinkedIn stage too. So,
All right, last question for you. What's the one item you always have to have in your recording studio or your practice space?
well, you need your computer, that's for sure, and a really good set of earphones. I think that is absolutely mandatory, and a really good microphone, at least one really good microphone, so that the outside stuff, like if you're doing any live stuff, you want the quality to be extremely good, And I use Logic Pro as my DAW, digital audio workstation, and it's amazing, just amazing, and it comes with so much stuff in it
Yeah.
too. Keeps you exploring for a long time.
Yeah. All right, Landis. I want to thank you for being on the show tonight, man. Thank you very much.
Well, thanks so much for having me, and it was really nice touching bases with you again, Sarantos, and hopefully we can do this again soon.
Absolutely. And thank you to everyone listening tonight for being a part of the Songwriter Show. If you're an artist with a story to share, we'd love for you to be a guest on the show. Just head over to songwritershow.com and fill out the form. I'm Sarantos. I hope you'll join me every single Tuesday evening as we continue to uncover the inspiring journeys behind the music. Here's to creating, connecting, and letting our stories be heard. Until then, keep writing, and we'll see you on the next episode of the Songwriter Show next Tuesday evening. Have a great night, everyone. I love you guys.
Thank you for listening to The Songwriter Show. To keep the momentum going, head over to www.songwritershow.com and join our free music community of artists, songwriters, and producers. That's www.songwritershow.com.